All right, let's learn more about functions in JavaScript. We're going to start with defining and invoking functions. This should be fairly simple and straightforward because we've done a bunch of defining functions in CS10. This should be familiar, but invoking functions is going to be a little bit different. So let's see what we can do here. Basically, we should understand that a function is a named block of code, right? The name of this function is display greeting, and the open and close braces there, whatever is in between those is the block of code that's stored inside of this function. All right, so I'm gonna just open up, I've got on my F drive a CS20 Mr. Velkamp folder. You should have that set up as well, right? CS20 your name. And then I have a folder called functions course activities, and in there I just got a little sandbox and a template. That might come in handy later. I'm just going to open up my sandbox. I don't need to save this program. I use this sandbox just to play around with code and see what's going on. So let's try this. I'm just going to define a function just like we did in the example, display greeting. So we use the keyword function. We give it a name, open and close parentheses. We'll talk more about those later, and then open and close braces. And we'll just log to the console, hello, and then console.log, have a great day. Something like that. To console.log, really simple. So if I go live here, it should run in this browser. So go live, and let's open up our F12, and fave icon, I don't care about that. Nothing happened. Okay. So the key here is, right, if I were to take these and take them outside of the function, right, when my web page loads, it'll see this script tag and it'll run main.js, and inside of main.js, it'll see these two console.log statements. Let's comment out the function for now. Got to get that line as well, and let's see what happens. Cool, it did it, right? Ran the console.log statements, 1, 2 of them. All right. So what's happening here is when we put it inside of a function, remember that the function doesn't actually execute. Nothing happens, right? JavaScript just says, oh, you've got a function, and it kind of stores that function. Actually, this is interesting. If I type display greeting, it actually shows that the name of the function is like a variable, essentially, that's storing the function, right? The commands inside of it. And then to actually execute the function, we need to use the name of the function followed by parentheses. So the name of the function gives me, hey, I'm storing this as like a variable that stores a function. If I add the parentheses at the end of it, that'll say, hey, function called display greeting, do your job. And then it'll run and do those console.logs. Okay, so obviously to do that, well, we usually told functions to do their job is by using like an event listener, right? Document.add event listener. When I click the document, call the function display greeting. So if I click anywhere on the document, it should run this function. Let's try it. Click, there it goes, click, there it goes, click, there it goes, beautiful. Okay, so that's how we did it a lot in CS10, was giving the name of the function to an event listener. But we don't have to do that. We can actually just go display greeting, open and close parentheses like that, and now when the web page loads, it'll run this JavaScript file, and it'll say, hey, let's run this function, and there it is. And of course, we can copy and paste this line and do it as many times as we would like, because that function is just sitting there waiting for us to run it. Okay, so again, the key things here is we define a function, and then we can invoke or call that function by using the name of the function followed by parentheses. What might be interesting, I might try to use this a little bit more in my little lessons here. Visualize JavaScript. Where is it? I don't think this is the one that I'm looking for. Oh, I said visual JavaScript. We want to visualize JavaScript. And I think the JavaScript tutor. All right, so what I can do here is I can paste some basic JavaScript code in here, or type. I'm just going to steal this stuff, and I'm going to copy and paste it in here. And it's kind of neat because you can visualize the execution. So really just, you can kind of step through the code and see what happens. So you'll notice what has happened right now is that over here we can visualize things, and there's this display greeting variable that points to this stored function, stored commands. And then, so JavaScript has kind of scanned the document and said, oh, hey, there's a function in here, and it saves it. So now when I go display greeting, it jumps into this function and says, okay, you want to do the code inside of here? It'll run the hello, and then that, and then display greeting returns nothing. It just goes back to where we called it from. And that line just finished, and now it's ready to run the code again. So it says, oh, display greeting again, and it jumps inside the function, runs that, and then goes back to where it was called, etc. And you can step through this, and it runs it 4 times. And then the program's done. Anyway, this visualize JavaScript thing is kind of helps you see things and how they're working, and it allows you to slow the program down a bit. All right, I think that is it for now. Let's go back to the notes here. We've defined a function as a name block of code. The code will not execute until it's invoked by name. So here's an example of how we can invoke it by name, or an event listener can invoke it. Couple of things. Remember the braces, open and closing braces, right? That controls what code is inside of the function. Sometimes people forget to end that brace, or they start adding other functions inside of this function. Just make sure you keep things nice and organized. And as well, make sure you don't forget the parentheses here when you want to invoke the function. Sometimes I've had students say, I called my function but it doesn't do anything. And that's because they forgot the parentheses here. Okay, that's a little explanation of the notes here, a little bit of an introduction to defining and invoke functions. I have 2 more lessons I want to do. I'm going to build both of these from scratch, kind of as a review of stuff we've done in CS10, and it's a great example of how functions can help us with modularity, organization, and also reuse, being able to reuse code over and over again. All right, so that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one where we will work on a dice roll simulator. All right, take care, and I hope that made sense.